Across history, there are stories that blur the line between fact and legend. Tales of warnings carved in stone, of lives cut short, and of mysteries that refuse to die. Some call them coincidences. Others believe they are curses. And one of the most famous of them all begins in the golden sands of Egypt. Stay with me, because in this video, we step into the shadows of the Curse of Tutankhamun. More than 3,000 years ago, Egypt was a land of temples, deserts, and powerful rulers. And in the middle of this ancient world, a child was placed on the throne. His name was Tutankhamun. At first glance, Tutankhamun might have seemed like nothing more than a fragile boy stepping into a role far greater than himself. Yet in the eyes of his people, he was more than human. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was not just a ruler, but a living god, believed to carry the voice of the divine. Every decree he gave, no matter how young he was, shaped the lives of millions and echoed across the Nile. But Egypt was not at peace when Tutankhamun came to the throne. His father, Akhenaten, had turned the kingdom upside down by abandoning the traditional gods and forcing everyone to worship only one, the sun disk, Aten. Temples that had stood for centuries were closed. Priests were stripped of their power, and the people were left confused and divided. And now, with Akhenaten gone, a child was chosen to rule. This young pharaoh, barely 9 years old, was placed on the throne with the weight of a fractured empire on his shoulders. Of course, he did not rule alone. Powerful advisors and priests stood behind him, guiding his decisions, helping him restore what his father had broken. Under their influence, Tutankhamun reopened the old temples, brought back the worship of Egypt's many gods, and returned power to the priesthood. Slowly, the kingdom began to heal, and the people saw him as the boy who brought balance back to their world. Life inside the palace was dazzling yet heavy with responsibility. Tutankhamun lived among treasures that most could not even imagine. Golden ornaments, furniture inlaid with gems, chariots finely crafted for a king. But behind this beauty was a boy who may have struggled with pain and sickness. Modern studies of his remains suggest he was frail, possibly suffering from a club foot and other health issues. It is likely he leaned on canes to walk, even as he tried to appear strong before his people. Yet despite these hardships, Tutankhamun was still the heart of Egypt. His reign lasted less than a decade, but in that short time, he managed to symbolize hope. To the people, he was proof that Egypt's traditions could endure, even after the turmoil of his father's rule. To the priests, he was the king who restored their gods. And to history, he became the boy who sat on the greatest throne of the ancient world. But fate was not kind to Tutankhamun. Around the age of 18 or 19, his reign came to a sudden end. The details of his death remain one of history's greatest mysteries. Was it illness? Was it an accident? Or was there something darker at play, perhaps betrayal within his own court? No record tells us for certain, and the truth remains buried in silence. What we do know is that he was laid to rest in a tomb far smaller than expected for a pharaoh. Perhaps his death came too suddenly, leaving no time to prepare a grand resting place. Or perhaps there were other reasons, hidden in the shadows of palace politics. Whatever the cause, his burial chamber, sealed in the Valley of the Kings, would remain untouched for more than 3,000 years. And then, centuries later, the world would discover him again. When British archaeologist Howard Carter uncovered Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, the world gasped at the treasures inside. Golden masks, jeweled statues, and thousands of artifacts that had survived untouched by time. For the first time, people everywhere could glimpse the life, the death, and the mystery of Egypt's boy king. It was the year 1922, deep in the sands of the Valley of the Kings. For years, archaeologists had searched these hills, convinced that every secret of ancient Egypt had already been uncovered. But Howard Carter, a determined British archaeologist, refused to give up. He believed that one last royal tomb still waited to be found. The search was long and frustrating. Carter and his team dug season after season, facing failure after failure. By the time Lord Carnarvon, the man funding the expedition, warned that the money was running out, Carter had little more than hope left. But then, everything changed. One morning, his workers uncovered a hidden step cut into the rock. It led to another and another. And at the bottom, they found a sealed doorway with strange symbols. Symbols that carried a royal name, Tutankhamun. After more than 3,000 years, the boy king's resting place had finally been found. On November 26, 1922, Carter held a candle and peered through a small hole his team had made in the tomb's sealed entrance. Behind him, Lord Carnarvon anxiously asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter's reply became one of the most famous lines in archaeology. Yes, wonderful things. What lay before him was beyond imagination. The flickering light revealed golden statues, gilded furniture, chariots, jewelry, and treasures piled high. It was as though time itself had stopped, leaving the boy king's world frozen for Carter to uncover. And at the heart of it all was a coffin, layered in gold, holding the mummified body of Tutankhamun. The discovery was like a window into ancient Egypt, a kingdom that had once worshipped him as a god, and now, thousands of years later, revealed his secrets to the modern world. Newspapers across the globe exploded with headlines. Crowds lined up to catch even the smallest glimpse of photographs from inside the tomb. For the first time, the world felt connected to a pharaoh long gone. But with the excitement came whispers. Strange accidents and sudden deaths began to surround those who entered the tomb. Was it simply bad luck? Or had the ancient Egyptians left behind a warning no one should ignore? At first, the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb felt like nothing but triumph. But it didn't take long for that excitement to turn into unease. Only a few months after the tomb was opened, Lord Carnarvon, the man who funded the entire expedition, fell ill. What began as a simple mosquito bite on his face became infected. In April 1923, he died suddenly in Cairo, far from home. Newspapers were quick to connect the dots. One headline read, "Death comes to Lord Carnarvon, the curse of the pharaohs." The story caught fire. Reporters reminded the public of an inscription said to have been found inside the tomb. "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king." Whether this warning truly existed or not, it spread like wildfire. Suddenly, every accident, every illness, every strange event tied to the excavation was blamed on the curse, and there were plenty of stories to tell. George J. Gould, a wealthy visitor who toured the tomb, died of a fever shortly afterward. An Egyptian prince who came to see the treasures was murdered months later. One of Carter's assistants died suddenly. Another man who helped examine the mummy lost his child in a freak accident. Each new death added fuel to the idea that Tutankhamun was reaching out from beyond the grave. But here's the strange part. Howard Carter, the man who led the excavation, never suffered any curse at all. He lived for more than a decade after the discovery, finally dying in 1939 at the age of 64. His friends and family were untouched. This raised even more questions. If the curse was real, why would it spare the very man who broke into the tomb? Scientists, of course, had their explanations. Some believed the deaths were caused by hidden toxins or ancient bacteria sealed inside the tomb for thousands of years. Others thought it was nothing more than coincidence. Tragic events that the newspapers exaggerated into a supernatural story. Yet the idea of the curse refused to fade. Maybe it was because the timing felt too perfect. Maybe it was because people wanted to believe that the ancient Egyptians had powers we still don't understand. Or maybe, deep down, the world simply loves a mystery too good to let go. More than a century has passed since Tutankhamun's tomb was uncovered, but the shadow of the curse still lingers. Historians revisit the story, scientists give their explanations, and skeptics dismiss it all as superstition. And yet, the legend lives on. Movies, books, and documentaries continue to speak of the pharaoh's warning. Tourists still whisper about the curse when they stand before his treasures in Cairo's museum. The idea is too powerful to disappear. Was it really an ancient curse that reached across time to punish those who disturbed the boy king? Or was it a mix of coincidence, illness, and the human need to find meaning in tragedy? The truth is, we may never know. But maybe that's why the story endures. Because Tutankhamun was not just a boy who ruled Egypt for a short time. In death, he became something greater, a legend, a warning, and a mystery that still captures our imagination. And perhaps, in that way, the curse was real all along. The curse of Tutankhamun. Was it real? Or just a story that grew too big to die? Maybe we'll never know. But that's the power of history's mysteries. They keep us guessing. If you want more stories like this, make sure to hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this video. Because the past is full of secrets. And we're just getting started.